Chapter 6. The personal card and the engraved invitation. Form of the card. A man's card is usually 1.5 by 3 inches in size and made of fairly stiff crystal board. A woman's card is usually about 2 3/16 by 3 inches and made of dull finish fine medium weight Bristol board. The color of cards is a fine pearl white. Cream or tinted cards are never in good form. The engraving varies from plain script to elaborate Old English text or shaded Roman type according to the fashion. The engraver may be trusted to know the style and stock most in use. The card of an unmarried lady should be somewhat smaller than that of the married. The distinction is made, however, only in the case of the card of the debutante. Inscription. If there is room across the card, the full name should be engraved. If the names are too long, only the initials of given names should be used. All inscriptions on one card should be in the same style of type. Mr. is prefixed, unless there is a special title such as Reverend, Doctor, Colonel, etc. If a man should, in an emergency, write his own name on a card, he would not prefix the Mr. or any other title. The name should be written in full and should be an autograph. A married lady should have her husband's full name, or such former parts of it as he uses, with the title Mrs. and not her own name. A young woman has the title Miss engraved before her name, even though she be only a schoolgirl. A young man has no title at all on his card, simply his full name. The newly married couple use a card with the title Mr. and Mrs. for the first year after the marriage. The newly married couple use a card with the title of Mr. and Mrs. for the first year after marriage in returning their ceremonious calls after the wedding and paying formal calls when the husband is unable to accompany the wife. These cards should have the address in the lower right-hand corner and the reception day or days in the lower left. After the first year, they are seldom used in paying calls, but can be used for condolence, congratulation, or farewell, where both husband and wife desire to be formally represented. A woman who is personally distinguished, who occupies a high social position, or whose husband stands at the head of his family, may have only Mrs. Barnaby, not Mrs. John Barnaby, upon her cards. It is better, however, not to do so, unless one has the indisputable right to be considered as the Mrs. Barnaby of the locality. It is customary for the wife of the oldest brother of the oldest branch in the family alone to have the privilege of this form. The same rule of precedence applies to single women. The oldest unmarried daughter of the oldest brother, and she alone has the right to use Miss Campbell on her card, although she may have a cousin who is much older than herself, but who is the daughter of a younger brother of the same family. A widow has no cards for her year of mourning, as she makes no formal visits. After that, cards with black border to any depth may be used. A widow has no legal right to retain her husband's Christian name, but she often prefers to do so, and it is entirely proper, the question being one of sentiment alone. In case there is a married son of the same name as the father, then it is proper for the mother to put Senior at the end of her name, should she desire to still retain her husband's Christian name. In such a case, widows occasionally prefer to use their own names or initials. In this country, a married woman merges her name with that of her husband. It is not uncommon nowadays for married women to sign their own Christian name, their maiden surname, and their husband's surname as their signature. There is value in this, as it preserves the family identity of the married woman. But the question of its legality may always be raised. The name of daughter or daughters is often engraved below that of the mother on her card before the young woman enters formally into society. The form, the Mrs. Smith, may be used, or the names given separately. In New York, in some circles, the debutante is not given a separate card until she has been in society a year, as American schoolgirls often have a card with the prefix Miss. Debutante may use this among her girl friends. To write anything on an engraved card except condolences, congratulations, PPC is not considered good style, though a lady may use her visiting card with 5 o'clock tea, music, or a special date written upon it as an informal invitation to a musical or at home. A business or professional woman may have, in addition to her society card, a card with her own name for business purposes. This usually has a word or two denoting her profession in the lower left-hand corner, and her business address in the lower right. A lady's card should always contain her home address in the lower right-hand corner. Her afternoon at home is usually given in the lower left. The address is often omitted from cards for men, being engraved on those of the women of the family. Men belonging to a fashionable or well-known club put its name instead of their residence on their cards. This is especially the case when they do not live at home. Living at a club, the address is put on the lower left-hand corner. Living at home, the lower right-hand corner. On a man's business card, the title Mr. is omitted, the name of his firm, their business and address being engraved in the lower left-hand corner. Titles. Titles may signify permanent rank or profession that lasts for life, which are allied to a man's identity or distinctly bear upon his social standing, should be used. Temporary titles which have no special social rank or bearing, or professional titles such as Esquire for lawyers, which have no social significance, are not used. For the same reason, the temporary or technical titles are not used. Honorary titles are omitted. There should be no pretense in regard to social position, as pretense is easy and futile. A man appears in society simply as an ordinary individual to win favor and position by force of his personality, or to lose it thereby. An army or a naval officer, a physician, a judge, or a clergyman may use his title on his card, as for instance, Captain James Smith, Judge Henry Gray, Reverend Thomas Jones, D.D. The card of an Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court at Washington reads, Mr. Justice Holmes. Military or complimentary titles are not used, nor are coats of arms. In this Republican country, it is considered an affectation and bad taste to so make use of them. Political and judicial titles are also omitted, as are academic titles, such as Chancellor, Dean, and Professor. No rank below that of Captain is used on a card in military circles. A lieutenant's card would give his full name with the prefix Mr., and below it the words Lieutenant of 5th Cavalry, United States Army, or simply United States.